What is up? How is everything going? How is everyone doing? Doing the State of the Union.
Devastation number 2 for Joe Biden.
I had to actually change my feed because my original, what I planned to use before, wasn't working. So,
case for himself here, because in a sense, this isn't the State of the Union.
how is everyone? Wait for some people to come in.
I need to jump in on that, and I'm sure we'll comment on it more throughout the night. But it is so incredibly selfish for Joe Biden to pursue a second term just out of self-interest. You're too old. Sorry, you're too old. You need to step down and allow for a different Democrat, someone younger with more energy, who could remember the health secretary's name, for instance, to run for that position. But he can't help himself. And
if you have a side gig, you need to file your taxes. Visit Tax USA.
Term, and of course he's gonna seek a second term. It's just insane, but that's where we're at.
Yeah, and so some naive folks ask, and I don't blame you for being naive because, you know, it depends on who your media is. So if you largely watch mainstream media, they're telling you all the time these politicians are wonderful, honorable people, and so some folks not innocently ask, like, why? What is Biden trying to get done? Why does he want a second term? Well, why did he want a first term? Okay, he's not trying to get anything done. He just wants power and status.
He got lucky the first time.
He's wanted to be president his whole life. He's thrilled that he's president, and
this was a lifelong goal
just to be more historic. If you want to know what politicians care about, yes, they care about money, status, power, all those things. But their number one thing, which kind of takes all that and rolls it up in one ball, is legacy. How will I be remembered? I am an important person. I should be remembered as a very important person. That's why Biden's running again. Now, if you say these obvious points, which if you're out there and you're watching, left wing, right wing, it doesn't matter, you're all gonna say, yeah, that's obviously true, right? If you say this stuff inside Washington, persona non grata, you'll be banned. They'll say you're a monster, how dare you, this is so mean of you to say about this incredibly, beautifully powerful person who we should kiss the ass of, right? We're not gonna do that. You know, if you watch CYT, we never do that. So I think there's some chance that it isn't Buttigieg or the other Democrat, Gavin Newsom, the other Democratic hopefuls that are planting stories in the New York Times, like the one today about Kamala Harris. Yeah. That was Ted Cruz's point. And he's right that a lot of times the sources are other powerful politicians. That's how news media works.
He knows it because he is also a powerful politician.
100%, right?
Who's probably fed stories to the press, who just service stenographers because they think they're getting a scoop. But anyway.
100 billion %. Yeah. They just regurgitate whatever their sources say. That's why their sources go to them, because they're like, oh, if you go to an independent journalist like Ryan Grimm or David Dayen or David Sordo or Jonathan Larson, they're not gonna just regurgitate what you say, they're gonna do real journalism. So don't go to them, go to the New York Times, they'll just vomit out whatever you told them and go, hey, I got a scoop, and the rest of the town will celebrate them, right? I think it's not Buttigieg and those other hopefuls. I think there's a good chance the call's coming from inside the house.
One moment. The C-SPAN feed finally came up, so. I'm gonna do this. So I really don't expect much, I'll be honest with you. I mean, this is like the first little bit of political coverage, quote unquote coverage, that I've done. So I'm not really expecting much, but who knows what'll happen. We've all been surprised before. If I do this, please. I don't get any ad interruptions. No, that didn't work. And of course, an advertisement. Hold on. Hopefully some people show up. I really do. I really mean I hope some people actually show up to at least comment. Just look at them. Look at all of them. Just commiserating. Oh, God, there's Holly. I see him. It's like playing Where's Waldo, and there he is. Oh, my God. This is going to be interesting tonight, though. I have a feeling that good or bad or ugly, this thing's going to be very interesting. McCarthy. I have to pinch myself every day to realize that he's now Speaker of the House. We're going to have to deal with him for the next 4 years. I'm just going to go back to TYT. At least they're more entertaining. Shoot. At least they're more entertaining. I'll give them that.
By someone who is not dealing with cognitive decline. That is not offensive. Okay, I'm not gaslight the audience and pretend like Joe Biden's mental health is completely on par. He's in great condition. No, you know what's offensive? Telling the American people to shut up. There's a legit concern about the commander-in-chief.
Okay,
now
hold on.
Past my friends, and I gave them only as an example of they're coming at it with 100% good faith, right? And even they have a visceral reaction, right? And so, but why? Why do they have that reaction? Because they're getting it from mainstream media, and mainstream media makes it seem like if you point out something that's wrong with Joe Biden, that's actual, that's real, that's substantive, right? That you're doing something that is like the things that folks will say is, "Are you trying to help the Republicans?" Wait, am I
not really?
Are you trying to help the Republicans?
Yeah.
You're going to put that man up against a Republican candidate in this presidential election? Are you trying to help Republicans? Answer that question, please.
So that's point one. Point two is, wait, are you guys picking the news based on whether it helps or hurts Republicans or Democrats?
I mean, of course.
And the reality is, of course they are. But then they'll say, no, we're objective. We're the objective ones. And anyone who tells the truth is radical. By the way, and then there's tons of people who don't tell the truth at all. The right-wingers who say lunatic things, they're actually radical. But that requires people to sort out things without going, okay, good guys, bad guys. They're on this side, they're on that side, right? And so anyways, but in this State of the Union, what Biden's gonna try to do is say, don't worry, I got this. And furthermore, and this was in articles today, he's saying that they're pivoting in the next 2 years to implementation of the things that they already passed. Now let me decode what that means. Number one, that means we're not gonna pass anything else, okay? And that's obvious. Once they lost the House, and they were planning to lose the House the whole time. They were actually shocked that they didn't lose the House in a bigger way.
They knew they were gonna lose it.
In fact, they bragged about how we lost the House, but only by a couple, right? And by the way, mainstream media, piled on them.
They
It was
were
like,
lucky to even keep the
congratulations
Senate.
to the Democrats for only losing the House by a
The
little
Dems
bit.
were even lucky to
Lost
keep
and all
the
that
Senate.
that means
They lost.
they lost, and we can't pass anything else. We care about policy. So for us, that's devastating, right? For them, it's an afterthought because they all know, the mainstream press knows, Republicans and Democrats know, Biden wasn't going to pass anything in the next 2 years anyway. He's actually thrilled to have that pressure off of him, right? Well, the only thing he's ever said that is 100% true is when he told the donors, nothing will fundamentally change, okay? And
Exactly.
but the second part of moving on to implementation is not, oh, okay, guys, let's roll up our sleeves and behind the scenes make sure we get that bridge built and we get that semiconductor
What
thing.
bridge built?
No, he means, and it's clear from the context of the articles, no, we're going to just do marketing for 2 years. We're going to tout our accomplishments.
They also have to approve some of those government grants to the private institutions that are going to build the infrastructure.
And then
right?
they're going to
There's
go
gonna be
brag
that.
about it. They're going to
Yeah,
be like,
no,
oh,
totally.
we gave this much money to business and we gave that much money to
Right.
business and we gave it to that business and this business and that business. And they will have as their ally mainstream media who will say, what a great and historic job Joe Biden has done. That semiconductor bill, $54 billion out of your pocket into the semiconductor industry, but it could trickle down to you at some point, kind of. So it's a historic and epic accomplishment. And by the way, that bill is nuanced. Good parts, bad parts. It's not of a cartoon movie where it's all bad or all good.
Right. We should be manufacturing semiconductor chips here in the United States. We should also have regulations in place that ensure that these private companies don't then export what they make off of our money, by the way, off of our investment to other countries. Now, the only regulation that the Biden administration implemented in regard to exporting those semiconductor chips was you're not allowed to export them to China.
Yeah, I think
because we like to ratchet up our war rhetoric with China. But why China specifically? If we're in dire need for
I'm just doing this
semiconductor
bounce
chips here in
around
the
thing
United
for some
States,
reason.
why aren't the regulations in place to ensure that the product benefits the American people who invested in that, by the way, through their taxpayer money?
So, guys.
From Colorado, gentleman from California, Mrs. Chu.
The President of the Senate, at the direction of that body, appoints the following senators as members of the committee on the part of the Senate to escort the President of the United States into the House chamber. The Senator from New York, Mr. Schumer. The Senator from Illinois, Mr. Durbin. The Senator from Washington, Ms. Murray. The Senator from Michigan, Ms. Dapadow. The Senator from Minnesota, Ms. Klobuchar. The Senator from Wisconsin, Ms. Baldwin. There she is. The Senator from Kentucky, Mr. McConnell. The Senator from South Dakota, Mr. Thune. The Senator from Wyoming, Mr. Barrasso. The Senator from West Virginia, Ms. Capito. The Senator from Iowa, Ms. Ernst. The Senator from Montana, Mr. Daines.
The members of the escort committee will exit the chamber through the lobby doors.
I still can't believe it. He's going to be speaker for the next 4 years. Ugh. Should have dodged the bullet with that thing.
Mr. Speaker, the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps.
How all serious they look. I mean, I wonder what's going through what's going through the minds of those folks right now. Oh, there's Bono. There he is. I was just shocked to find him here. Everybody's just so quiet. Everybody's just like awaiting. Oops, sorry.
Mr. Speaker, the Chief Justice and Associate Justices of the Supreme Court.
Amazing to me that we don't have, well, not necessarily amazing, but we haven't yet. Why are they cheering? We haven't any progressives on that Supreme Court. They're all moderate, conservative, liberal. Hey, 2 people are watching. Welcome. I hope to get some people in the chat here very soon. Because honestly, I don't think there's really going to be much change. There's not really. There's more. I have more pessimism than optimism at the moment. I think if you're a progressive, if you're a leftist progressive, I mean, we've seen. I wish it was Bernie giving us tonight. Yeah, me too, out there. Every single day, I wish it was Bernie. Like I have there's like literally. I have so much pet in this speech tonight. I just don't know how I'm gonna be able to sit through it, but I'm gonna do it. How you doing, Blair? By the way, first commenter. Am I sounding good? By the way, I tested my audio and stuff before I came on. And somewhere, there's Bono. I can't believe Bono showed up for this. Of all the celebrity people, Obviously, I mean, it's obvious you have to put someone like Bono out there.
Mr. Speaker, the President's Cabinet.
No cell phones. Put your cell phone away. The mic sounds really good. Nah, I've had it for about a year. It's a chore. FM48, although I'm hoping to get it FM72. I hope the audio is better though. I listened to the playback of the Mike Figueredo interview and it was great, but it was kind of sketchy. I hope this audio is a lot better. Just rushing. That's my seat. That's my seat. You sitting in my seat. Garland just passed him. The judge. Isn't he in enough trouble already for him to be here? I think after what he said on the Sunday morning talk shows this weekend, he probably want to sit this out. I missed what Pete said. He was basically defending the department, the transportation department under Joe Biden. How terrible, but apparently it's. Let me just throw this up here. Actually, now I can throw the overlay up now. Oh, comments are not. Emo Dragon says, I missed what Pete said. He basically was defending the failed policies of the Biden transportation department. Transportation department. Oh. It wasn't good, trust me. I mean, like I said, after what his little diatribe, so to speak, he is that Kirsten Summer? Yeah, that's gotta be her in the yellow dress. You'd think he'd want to sit out. Every time the camera pans on, of course, what did he say? What a clown. Yeah, for sure. We dodged a bullet with him too, with becoming president. Every day I'm going to regret that at least it's not Bernie. You know, I mean, I wish it was Bernie, but this would be a lot more interesting. It'd be a lot more interesting if it was Bernie. How are you doing, Emo, by the way? I haven't seen you in a while. I know you've been busy. Take me back to February 2020 when Bernie just won Nevada. Yeah, that was a hard year for me. That was a hard month for me, actually. I think tragically my grandmother on my dad's side passed away. I think after, I think it was probably before the Nevada caucus or was it the Nevada caucus or the primary? One of the two. I think it was before that my grandmother passed away, and then that happened, so it was double whammy. And then, of course, in July 2020, we lost, Michael Brooks. That was even worse. He's pretty good. Just saw your DMs. I seeked out your stream yourself. It was great to see one with Mike last week. Yeah, it was great. I'll be honest. It took me a while to actually kind of reach out to my. The weirdest thing was I actually DM'd him the first time to do an interview, and then I emailed him because I found his email, his professional work email on his website. And so I emailed him then. I didn't get a response. I DM'd him the first time, didn't get a response. And then finally I was kind of like, well, I don't want to do this because this is pretty much unorthodox. But I'm going to have to just message him on his own on his Twitch stream and just offer it, ask him. And so he did. He was like, yeah, he says he tends to miss DMs, so just keep bugging him. And that's what I did. Like literally after that show ended, I think this was in December. So literally after that show ended, I sent him a DM. He confirmed. He said December was packed, but he had January free, January, February free. So I was like, well, I'll do February. And I've actually been pretty good, just in school still.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
And here he comes. No hail to the chief. Oh man. Yeah, it's actually going on 3 years. It will be 3 years, I think, this week that she passed. So it's been kind of hard for me, at least my dad's side of the family. And like my grandmother and my mom's side passed away before the Christmas holidays. So it's been equally tough. Kind of sad though because she didn't live long enough to see this. Because she knew how much I loved broadcasting. So I wish she could have seen me with my. No matter how good or bad he does, I really have to pinch myself that he still has that adulation. That's awesome. Mike's a good. Yeah, he's really good. He's crushing on the exams. You know what? I'm gonna try to crush those exams. You know, I can't wait to graduate. I should be graduating next fall. And after that, I hope that I can focus on streaming full time. But yeah, it's been tough. Like I got an exam coming up on Thursday, a statistics exam. So that's gonna be fun. It's 8:06 my time, and he's still not walked up to the podium yet. I guess he's just got to do the whole glad handing thing before. He's got to do the whole glad handing thing before he makes up to the podium. For whatever reason. They want to trample on him. He's brittle, unfortunately. Best of luck, Mike. I got faith in you. Thank you. Yeah. Tomorrow's going to be a day of studying for me. A little bit of it anyway. So, I hope to at least get it at least a C. Or at least a B. I'm not going to look for an EVA in my exams. I'll be honest, I wish I had something alcoholic to drink. The problem is this is falling on a school night, so I can't be drinking a lot of alcohol. Because I feel like I'm gonna have to. I'm not expecting too much. Like I said, I'm not optimistic in this at all. This is just one of those things that everybody, as a streamer, everyone, if you're in like the news and political side of this, you have to cover the state of meeting. And so it's like I'm just not really expecting a lot of positivity, a lot of positive stuff. Like most people, like the 2 people in the chat and 3 people watching. I thought Nancy was retiring, by the way. Or did she go back to being was it leader, majority leader? Not much will get done here in the next couple weeks. Yeah, that is true. I mean, the fact that these folks, at least, I have a feeling that these 2, like McCarthy and Biden, they must have like a history of sorts in the moderate liberal Democratic club, or at least, well, not in that club. Years, yeah, but still, I mean, they've got a history together in the political club, where they're gonna have to compromise so damn much that it's not gonna. Either way, you know, months, years, weeks, days.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and the distinct honor to present to you the President of the United States.
That's how they. Oh, he might be the minority whip. Yeah.
Mr. Speaker.
You think that after spending 10 years as Speaker of the House, one in 2007 to 2010, 2011, and then 2019 to now, she just want to retire from politics altogether.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, our First Lady and Second Gentleman, good to see you guys
she just
up
can't be
there.
sticking around too much.
Members of Congress. By the way, Chief Justice, I may need a court order. She gets to go to the game tomorrow, next week. I have to stay home. Got to work something out here. Members of the Cabinet, leaders of our military, Chief Justice, Associate Justice, and retired Justice of the Supreme Court, and to you, my fellow Americans. You know, I start tonight by congratulating the 118th Congress and the new Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy.
Don't shake his hand, Joe. You don't know where it's been. You don't know where that hand's been, Joe. You'd probably want to sanitize your hand.
Speaker, I don't want to ruin your reputation, but I look forward to working with you. And I want to congratulate the new leader of the House Democrats, the first African-American minority leader in history, Hakeem Jeffries.
I thought he was going for the 5th one. Oh, that would have been a camera moment, or that would have been a Twitter moment. That definitely, like, they just bumped, and then it's just like Twitter.
He won in spite of the fact I campaigned for him.
Hashtag Biden.
Congratulations to the longest serving leader in the history of the United States Senate, Mitch McConnell. Where are you, Mitch?
Oh no, not him. Not him. Oh well, they have a face. Good thing. No, don't tell his face.
Congratulations to Chuck Schumer.
Terrible. He's a corrupt, you know what.
You know, another term as Senate
Shot for
minority leader.
Yeah.
You know, I think you, only this time you have a slightly bigger majority, Mr. Leader. You're the majority leader. About that much bigger? Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I want to give special recognition to someone who I think is going to be considered the greatest speaker in the history of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi.
I don't know about that. I doubt that. I doubt that 1,000%.
Folks, The story of America is a story of progress and resilience, of always moving forward, of never, ever giving up. It's a story unique among all nations. We're the only country that has emerged from every crisis we've ever entered stronger than we got into it. Look, folks, that's what we're doing again. 2 years ago, the economy was reeling. I stand here tonight after we've created, with the help of many people in this room, 12 million new jobs, more jobs created in 2 years than any president's created in 4 years, because of you all, because of the American people.
Until it all gets back down again.
2 years ago.
And then 2 years from now, considering if
And 2 years ago,
hypothetically, if he gets reelected,
COVID had shut down, our businesses were closed, our schools were
he's going to be claiming this again in 2 years.
Today, COVID no longer controls our lives. And 2 years ago, democracy faced its greatest threat to the Civil War. And today, though bruised, our democracy remains unbowed and unbroken.
Do you not realize that? COVID is not over.
As we gather here tonight, we're writing the next chapter in the great American story, a story of progress and resilience. When world leaders ask me to define America, and they do, believe it or not, I say I can define it in one word, and I mean this: possibilities. We don't think anything is beyond our capacity. Everything is a possibility. You know, we're often told that Democrats and Republicans can't work together. But over the past 2 years, we proved the cynics and naysayers wrong.
So weird how the age is a problem for Bernie, but not
we
Biden.
Disagreed plenty.
Yeah.
And yes, there were times when
The
Democrats
irony
went alone.
burns.
But time and again,
The irony
Democrats and
so
Republicans
burns.
came together to defend a stronger and safer Europe. You came together to pass once in a generation infrastructure law, building bridges connecting our nation and our people.
Building bridges to
We
nowhere.
came together to pass the most significant law ever, helping victims exposed to toxic burn pits. And in fact, it was important.
Let's see.
In fact, I signed over 300 bipartisan pieces of legislation since becoming president, from reauthorizing the Violence Against Women Act, to the Electoral Count Reform Act, the Respect for Marriage Act that protects the right to marry the person you love. And to my Republican friends, if we could work together the last Congress, there's no reason we can't work together and find consensus on important things in this Congress as well.
They want to tear you down at every step with the way they did your long predecessor, your former boss.
Folks, you all are as informed as I am, but I think the people sent us a clear message. Fighting for the sake of fighting, power for the sake of power, conflict for the sake of conflict gets us nowhere. That's always been my vision of our country, and I know it's many of yours. To restore the soul of this nation, to rebuild the backbone of America, America's middle class, and to unite the country. We've been sent here to finish the job, in my view. For decades, the middle class has been hollowed out in more than, and not no one administration, but for a long time. Too many good-paying manufacturing jobs move overseas. Factories closed down. Once thriving cities and towns that many of you represent became shadows of what they used to be.
In harm's way with the burn
Along
pit.
the way, something else we lost. Pride, our sense of self-worth. I ran for president to fundamentally change things.
Nothing will
to make sure our
fundamentally
economy
change.
works
Remember
for
when you
everyone,
said that?
so we can all feel that pride in what we
That
do.
is so ironic of
To
you
build
now,
an economy from the
Mr.
bottom up
President.
and the middle out, not from the top down. Because when the middle class does well, the poor have a ladder up, and the wealthy still do very well. We all do well.
The wealthy need to pay their fair share. But he was smart.
I know a lot of you always kid me for always quoting my dad, but my dad used to say, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. He really would say this.
Favorite
It's about
quote
a
of
lot
all
more than a
time.
paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect.
Bernie was. I will
It's
say
about
this:
being able
Bernie
to
was
look your kid
smart.
in the eye and say, honey,
for
it's
wearing a
going to be
mask.
okay, and mean it.
At least he's
Well,
on the
folks,
right side. That's one of the
So
good
let's look
things
at the
about Bernie.
results.
One of the
We're
great
not
things
finished
about
yet by
Bernie.
any stretch of the imagination, but unemployment rate is at 3.4%,
keep is
a
nothing will fundamentally
50-year
change.
low.
Yeah. And he will keep,
Near
Can-
record.
hypothetically, if he gets another 4 years, he's just going to keep saying
Near
that.
record
That's
unemployment
not,
for
he
black
personally
and
is going to keep
Hispanic
saying
workers.
it. That's just going to be
We've
the
already
narrative for the
created,
next
your
war.
help, 800,000 good-paying manufacturing jobs, the fastest growth in 40 years.
Only one wearing in
Where is
1.5.
it
Yeah. We're in the good one.
Where is it
We're in
written
one of
that
the good masks.
America can't lead the world in manufacturing? And I don't know where that's written. For too many decades, we imported projects and exported jobs. Now, thanks to what you've all done, we're exporting American products
I want to
and
make
creating
one thing clear.
American
This is like the
jobs.
first time I've done this. Like,
Folks,
if this, like, obviously, if you know who was still in office
inflation
in
has been
power,
a global problem because the
I
pandemic
would be
disrupted our supply
equally
chains
as critical
and
of him
Putin's
as I am
unfair
now.
and brutal war
I'm trying
in
to be
Ukraine disrupted
balanced. I'm
energy
trying to be fair
supplies
here.
as well as food supplies,
Can't believe I
blocking
just
all that grain
said
in
that.
Ukraine.
I'm trying to be
But
equally
we're better positioned than any
critical.
country on earth right now. But we have more to do. But here at home, inflation is coming down. Here at home, gas prices are down $1.50 from their peak. Food inflation is coming down, not fast enough, but coming down. Inflation has fallen every month for the last 6 months, while take-home pay has gone up. Additionally, over the last 2 years, a record 10 million Americans applied to start new businesses. 10 million.
Then those businesses
By the
won't
way,
have.
Every time someone starts
Because
a
the tax
small
plan
business is
won't.
an act of hope. And Madam Vice President, I want to thank you for leading that effort to ensure that small businesses have access to capital and the historic laws we enacted that are going to just come into being. Standing here last year, I shared with you a story of American genius and possibilities. Semiconductors, small computer chips the size of a fingerprint that power everything from cell phones to automobiles and so much more. These chips were invented in America. Let's get that straight. They were invented in America. We used to make 40% of the world's chips. In the last several decades, we lost our edge. We're down to only producing 10%. We all saw what happened during the pandemic when chip factories shut down overseas. Today's
in the
automobiles
pandemic.
need 3,000 chips each of those automobiles. But American automobiles couldn't make enough cars because there weren't enough chips.
I mean, that's the
Car
thing we're
prices
going to have
went
to
up.
admit to ourselves.
People
We're
got
still
laid
in a
off.
pandemic.
So
Nobody
did
has told
everything
us
from
that
refrigerators to cell phones. We can never let that happen again. That's why.
I mean, that's why Bernie is wearing a mask.
That's why we came together.
That's why he's wearing the
to pass the
N95 mask, because he
Bipartisan
knows
Chips
that we're
and
still in a
Science Act.
pandemic. Nobody in this chamber is like even smart enough, except for Bernie, to wear a freaking N95 mask, because he knows.
Folks,
Is that the other side, the
I know I've
Republican
been
side, is
criticized
just like
for saying
doing?
this, but I'm not changing my view. We're going to make sure the supply chain for America begins in America. The supply chain begins in America. We've already created. We've already created 800,000 new manufacturing jobs without this law, before the law kicks in. With this new law, we're going to create hundreds of thousands of new jobs across the country. And I mean all across the country, throughout not just the coast, but through the middle of the country as well. That's going to come from companies that have announced more than $300 billion in investment in American manufacturing over the next few years. Outside of Columbus, Ohio, Intel is building semiconductor factories on 1,000 acres, literally a field of dreams. It's going to create 10,000 jobs.
Why am I thinking of that Sting song?
7,000 construction jobs.
Fields of Gold.
3,000 jobs in
But
those
it'll just
factories
say,
once they're finished.
Like you
They
say,
call them
Field of
factories.
Dreams, and Sting comes
Jobs
out and
paying
plays
an average
Fields
of
of Gold.
$130,000 a year, and many do not require a college degree.
Okay, when he starts talking about free college, look at Cruz over there.
Because we work together, these jobs where people
He
don't
just
have to
looks,
leave
he's so
home to
bored.
search for opportunity.
He looks so
It's just getting started.
solemn.
Think about the new homes, the small businesses, the medium-sized business. So much more that's going to be needed.
That would make it worth
to
watching.
support those 3,000 permanent
If
jobs.
Sting came out, it was saying,
And the factories
saying
that are
his
gonna be
song
built.
Fields of Gold.
Talk to mayors and governors, Democrats and Republicans, and they'll tell you what this
It would
means
be
for their
so
communities.
good. This would be
seeing
more
these field of
entertaining than
dreams
it is now.
transform
I'd
the
probably put
heartland.
on a better stream.
But to maintain the strongest economy in the world, we need the best infrastructure in the world. And folks, as you all know,
Transportation Secretary Buttigieg.
we used to be #1 in the world in infrastructure. We've sunk to 13th in the world. The United States of America, 13th in the world in infrastructure, modern infrastructure. But now we're coming back because we came together and passed the bipartisan infrastructure law, the largest investment in infrastructure since President Eisenhower's interstate highway system.
I wonder if I should stay for the response though. That's what I'm kind of thinking about. Isn't there there's the usual the opposition
We've funded
response?
over 20,000 projects,
But I feel like I
including
just want to
major
stay for
airports from Boston to Atlanta to
the
Portland.
speech.
Projects that are going to put thousands of people to work rebuilding our highways, our bridges, our railroads, our tunnels, ports, airports, clean water, high-speed internet, all across America. Urban, rural, tribal. And folks, we're just getting started. We're just getting started.
Really? Wouldn't we be finished by now?
And I mean it sincerely. I want to thank my Republican friends who voted for the law.
They're not your
And my
friends.
Republican friends who voted against it
I
as
want
well.
those high-speed choo-choo.
But I still get asked to fund the
Choo-choo,
projects
yeah,
in
me
those
too.
districts as well. But don't worry.
I mean, I have Wi-Fi.
I promised I'd be a president for all
There
Americans.
should be
We'll
Republican
fund these
response.
projects.
Yeah, I
And
don't
I'll
know.
see
I
the
don't know if I'm going
groundbreaking.
to stay on for that. I can't stomach. I mean, this is bad enough. I don't think I can stomach the freaking opposition.
This law,
What was I going to say?
this law will further unite
Yeah,
all of
I
America.
want the. I mean, I have
Projects
Wi-Fi
like
internet,
Red Span Bridge
but I
in
used to have
Kentucky
Google
over the
Fiber,
Ohio River.
and I
Built
missed
60
it.
years ago. Badly needed repairs. One of the nation's most congested freight routes, carrying $2 billion worth of freight every single day across the Ohio River. And folks, we've been
It's
talking
like
about
his
fixing it for
trademark.
decades.
This is like his
But
trademark
we're really
word.
finally
Is
going to get it
folks.
done. I went there
That's
last
Joe's
month
trademark word.
with Democrats
Folks.
and Republicans, and from both states.
Every time he
to
enters his
deliver a commitment of $1.6 billion
every time he
for
enters,
this
I can just
project.
see it. Like every time he enters the Oval Office, folks, how you
While I
doing?
was there,
Like all
met
his
a
cabinet
young woman
people are
named
sitting
Sarah,
at the couch
who's here
or
tonight. I don't know
sitting
where Sarah is. Is she up in the box? I
beside
don't
the
know.
or near
Sarah,
the
how
oval,
are you? Well, Sarah,
the desk,
for 30
the desk.
years.
And he's like, folks, have a seat. How you doing?
For 30 years.
That's like his
I
trademark.
learned, she told me she'd been a proud member of the Iron Workers Local 44, known as
Don't blame. Yeah. I had Google
known
Fiber
as the
in my first
Cowboys in the
apartment.
Sky.
It's just this place doesn't accept it.
The folks who built Cincinnati's skyline. Sarah said she can't wait to be 10 stories above the Ohio River building that new bridge. God bless her. That's pride.
He's just so
And that's what we're also building. We're building back pride.
For him,
Look,
that's not a bad
also
thing.
replacing
But like,
poisonous lead pipes that go into 10 million homes in America.
for the majority of people, at
400,000
least the younger generation,
school and
at
child
least
care
me,
centers. So every child in America,
we would have
every child in
someone
America
better.
can drink the water
Someone like Bernie.
instead of having permanent damage
He's
to their
wearing the
brain.
N95 mask because
Look.
he's smart.
We're making sure.
We're
making sure.
Yeah, they all
that
sit in the
every
they all
community-
sit in the oval and just
Every
like
community in America has access
Well, I
to
think he's a
affordable high-speed
non-alcoholic.
internet. No parent should have to drive
I'm-
by
if I'm
McDonald's
correct,
parking lot
Biden's,
to help them do their homework online with their kids.
he drinks
which
non-alcohol.
many thousands are doing across the
drinks
country.
little to no alcohol.
And when we do these projects, and again I get
So I
criticized
don't know
for
if
this,
they
but I
would be
make
able
no
to play a
excuses
drinking
for
game
it.
of that.
We're
of
going to
that part-
buy
of that kind.
American. We're going to buy America.
And this is the. I mean, I had to say it.
And it's totally
This whole Buy America
It's totally
scenario is
consistent with
totally out of
international
Trump's
trade
playbook.
Buy America has been the law since 1933.
I mean,
but for
whatever-
too long, past administrations, Democrat and Republican, have not anymore. Tonight, I'm announcing new standards that require all construction materials used in federal infrastructure projects to be made in America.
That is a Trumpian. I'm just gonna say it. That is a Trumpian response. Yeah, Trumpian talk right there.
I mean it.
That is a Trumpian
Lumber,
talk.
glass, drywall, fiber optic cable. And
It's basically America
roads,
first,
bridges, and American
but through
highways
a
are going
more
to be made
moderate
with American products as well.
standpoint.
Folks, my economic plan
There
is
he
about
goes again with
investing in
folks,
places and
by the way.
people that have been forgotten. So many of you listening to me tonight, I know you feel it. So many of you felt like you've just simply been forgotten.
What Trump's
economic
dead.
upheaval of the past 4 decades, too many people have been left behind and treated like they're invisible.
That's what
Maybe
what
that's
Trump
you
was
watching
saying in
from
his
home.
inauguration.
Remember the jobs that went away. You remember them, don't you?
You just
Folks at
basically
home
out of
remember
Trump's
them.
playbook.
You wonder whether the
Dude,
path even exists
Are you
anymore
serious?
for your children to get ahead without having to move away. Well, that's why I get that. That's why we're building an economy where no one's left behind. Jobs are coming back. Pride is coming back because choices we made in the last several years. You know, this is, in my view, a blue-collar blueprint to rebuild America and make a real difference in your lives at home. For example, too many of you lay in bed at night like my dad did, staring at the ceiling, wondering what in God's name happens if your spouse gets cancer, or your child gets deadly ill, or something happens to you. What are you going to get money to pay for those medical bills? Or are you going to have to sell the house or try to get a second mortgage on it?
His stroke.
I get it.
I wonder how
I get
he's
it.
doing.
With the Inflation Reduction Act that I signed into law, we're taking on powerful interests to bring healthcare costs down with more security. You know, we pay more for prescription drugs than any nation in the world. Let me say it again. We pay more for prescription drugs than any major nation on earth.
So,
for example,
the prescription drug
1 in
price
10
count?
Americans has
Maybe
diabetes.
Medicare for
Many
all?
of you in this chamber do, and in the audience. But every
Just
day,
saying.
millions need insulin to control their diabetes so they can literally stay alive.
Can't look at him.
Insulin's been around for over 100 years.
Embarrassed.
The guy who did
Missouri.
it didn't even patent it because he wanted it to be available.
And this
for
guy
everyone.
is my senator.
It cost the drug
I haven't
companies
heard a whole lot about
roughly
amphetamine yet.
$10 a vial to make that insulin.
Yeah, me neither.
Packaging
I
and
hope
all, you
he's
may get
doing
up to
well, though.
$13.
I hope he does well.
But Big Pharma has been unfairly charging people hundreds of dollars, $400 to $500 a
on the
month,
way.
making record profits. Not anymore. Not anymore.
There's Bernie again with the input with the math, the N95.
So many things that we did are only now coming to fruition. We said we were doing this, and we said we passed the law to do it, but people didn't know because the law didn't take effect until January 1 of this year. We capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors on Medicare.
Yeah.
People are just finding
You know,
out. I'm sure you're getting the same calls I'm getting. Look, there are millions of other Americans who do not or are not on Medicare, including 200,000 young people with type 1 diabetes and need this insulin to stay alive. Let's finish the job this time. Let's cap the cost of insulin for everybody at $35.
We're all looking at each other.
Folks, and Big Pharma's still going to do very well, I promise you all. I promise you they're going to do very well. This law also caps and won't even go into effect until 2025. It costs
And then you'll
out-of-pocket
hold me out
drug
of
costs for
office.
seniors on Medicare
And then
at
somebody
a
else will come
maximum
by.
of $2,000 a year. You don't have to pay more than $2,000 a year, no matter how much your drug costs are. Because you know why? You all know it. Many of you, like many in my family, have cancer. You know the drugs can range from $10, $11, $14, $15,000 for the cancer drugs. If drug prices rise faster than inflation, drug companies are going to have to pay Medicare back the difference. We're finally giving Medicare the power to negotiate drug prices. Bringing down prescription drug costs doesn't just save seniors money, it cuts the federal deficit by billions of dollars. By hundreds of billions of dollars. Because these prescription drugs are drugs purchased by Medicare to keep their commitment to the seniors. Well, guess what? Instead of paying $400 or $500 a month, you're paying $15. That's a lot of savings for the federal government. And by the way, why wouldn't we want that? Now, some members here are threatening, and I know it's not an official party position, so I'm not going to exaggerate.
President, yeah, that's true.
But threatening to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act. As my coach, that's okay.
Yeah,
that's
and
fair.
he never did.
As my football coach used to say, lots of luck in your senior year. Make no mistake, if you try anything to raise the cost of prescription drugs, I will veto it. Look, I'm pleased to say
I notice he says at least two words, folks and look, in just a blunt
16
manner.
million people are enrolled in the Affordable Care Act. And
Yes, but what about M4A,
law I signed last
Mr.
year,
President?
saving millions or saving $800 a year on their premium. And by the
IRA was
way,
crap.
the law was written
Yeah.
and the benefit expires in
You know, honestly,
2025.
I don't know
So my
too
plea
much
to
about the
some of you,
IRA,
at least in
but
this audience,
I would agree with
let's
you.
finish the job and make these savings permanent. Expand coverage of Medicaid.
I would definitely agree with you. Look at Mitt and Sinema.
Look,
Romney and Sinema.
The
They're just
Inflation
sitting
Reduction
there.
Act is also the most significant investment ever in climate change. Ever. Lowering utility bills.
Why
Creating
don't
American
they have
jobs. Leading the
I wouldn't
world
go
to a
that
clean
far.
energy future. I visited the devastating aftermath of record floods, droughts, storms, and wildfires from Arizona to New Mexico to all the way up to the Canadian border. More timber has been burned that I've observed from helicopters than the entire state of Missouri.
So you've
And
been
we don't
in
have
Missouri.
global warming.
So you've
Not
been
a
here.
problem. In addition
Mr.
to emergency
President.
recovery from Puerto Rico to Florida
Welcome
to
Idaho.
Idaho,
Why
we're
don't you come
rebuilding
back
for the
here
long
again?
term. New electric grids
time you come
that are
back
able
here.
to weather major
Yeah.
storms and not prevent those forest fires. Roads and water systems withstand the next big flood. Clean energy to cut pollution and create jobs in communities often left behind. We're going to build 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations installed across the country by tens of thousands of IBW workers. And we're helping families save more than $1,000 a year with tax credits to purchase electric vehicles and efficient
Flashback of the
efficient
Cinema Romney Ted
appliances,
Lasso Halloween
energy-efficient
photo.
appliances.
Yikes. I mean,
Historic conservation
that
efforts
dress
to be responsible stewards of
is
our
like
land.
way too extreme.
Let's face
I'm just gonna
reality.
be honest.
The climate crisis doesn't care if you're in a red or blue state. It's an existential threat.
I live in a
We have
red
an obligation, not to ourselves, but to our
Anything,
children and
anything that
grandchildren
is
to
blue
confront
is
it.
like very West Wing.
I'm proud of
blue.
how America at last is stepping up to the challenge. We're still going to need oil and gas for a while. But guess what? No, we do.
Ugh.
But there's so much more
That
to
gave
do.
McCarthy a
We got to
response.
finish the job. And we pay for these investments.
He's
in our
like,
future
yeah,
by
oil
finally
and gas,
making
yeah,
the
we need
wealthiest and
that.
biggest
I
corporations
need to fill that
begin
up with
to
my
pay
big
their
old-
fair share.
My I don't know what kind of
began.
flashy car is that. Is that Ilion Omar? Or I think it's Ilion Omar.
Look, I'm a capitalist. I'm a capitalist, but pay your fair share.
Of course you are, Joe.
I think a lot of you at home,
Capitalism is
a lot of you
ruining
at
this
home
country.
agree with me and many people that you know
It's like
the
McCarthy's
tax
just like,
system is not fair.
More
It
oil,
is
more
not
gas.
fair.
I need to fill my big old fancy car. My fancy car. Yeah.
Look,
yeah, I bet you probably put that in the tweet. Make sure he has.
that in
Make sure the
2020,
president has
55 of the
oil and gas
largest
support in
corporations in
his
America, the
speech.
Fortune 500, made $40 billion in profits.
Okay,
and
I'm
paid
getting way
zero
too
in federal
animated.
taxes. Zero.
I'm getting way too animated. here.
Folks, it's simply not fair.
Oh wow, yeah.
But now, because of the law I signed, billion-dollar companies have to pay a minimum of 15%.
He looks
God
so
love
bored,
him.
by the way.
15%.
He looks so bored,
That's
McCarthy.
less than a nurse pays. And let me be crystal clear. I said at the very
McCarthy
beginning,
just like
under my plans, as long
it's
as
like
I'm
he
president,
wanted to, it feels like
nobody
he wanted
earning
to be
less than
Speaker of the House for so long,
$400,000
and now
will
that
pay an
he is,
additional
I
penny
think
in
he just
taxes.
can't really realize
Nobody,
it.
not one penny. But let's finish the job. There's more to do. We have to reward work, not just wealth. Pass my proposal for the billionaire minimum tax. You know, there's 1,000 billionaires in America. It's up from about 600 in the
Not
beginning.
right about that, or he's not wrong about
But
that.
no
There are a
billionaire
million billionaires.
should be paying a lower tax rate
There are
than a school
1,000
teacher or
billionaires.
firefighter. I mean it. Think about it.
It's like he's trying to sound progressive, but it's just not. It's not coming off that way for
I
me.
mean, look,
He's really trying to sound progressive in a lot of ways, but it's just not working.
I know you aren't enthusiastic about that, but think about it.
A lot of this is really
about
kind of
it.
Trumpian. I'll be
Have
honest.
you noticed Big Oil just reported its profits?
That's just
record
the blunt
profits.
truth I can say. This is a lot of
Last
this
year
is
they
Trumpian.
made $200
Especially with the whole Made in America.
billion in the midst of a global energy crisis.
Ugh, McConnell.
I think it's outrageous. Why? They invested too little of that profit to increase domestic production. And when I talk to a couple of them, they say, we're afraid you're going to shut down all the oil wells and all the oil refineries anyway, so why should we invest in them? I said, we're going to need oil for at least another decade. And that's going to exceed and beyond that. We're going to need it. Production. If they had, in fact, invested in the production to keep gas prices down, instead, they used the record profits to buy back their own stock, rewarding their CEOs and shareholders. Corporations ought to do the right thing. That's why I propose we quadruple the tax on corporate stock buybacks and encourage long-term investment.
I don't know how long though. I think he's got just a
They'll
couple
still
more.
make considerable profit.
He's got a couple more, at least if not
Let's
years,
finish the
months
job
on him.
and close the loophole to allow very wealthy to avoid paying their
He's-
taxes.
his time is gonna
Instead
be
of cutting
pretty
the number
soon.
of audits for wealthy taxpayers,
I think
just
his
signed a law to
influence is
reduce the
numbered.
deficit by $114 billion by cracking down on wealthy tax cheats. That's being fiscally responsible.
Look at Vincent's face.
My administration has cut the deficit by more than $1.7 trillion. The largest deficit reduction in American history. Under the previous administration, the American deficit went up 4 years in a row. Because those record deficits, no president added more to the national debt in any 4 years than my predecessor. Nearly 25% of the entire national debt that took over 200 years to accumulate
that was good.
was added by
That
just
was
one
good.
administration alone, the last one. They're the facts. Check it out. Check it out. How did Congress respond to that debt? They did the right thing. They lifted the debt ceiling 3 times without preconditions or crisis. They paid American bills to prevent an economic disaster in the country. So tonight I'm asking the Congress to follow suit. Let's commit here tonight to the full faith and credit of the United States of America will never, ever be questioned. So some of my Republican friends
They're not your friends,
want to take the
Joe.
economy hostage. I get it, unless I agree to their economic plans.
They're not
All
your
of you
friends.
at home should know what those plans are. Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. Let me give you, anybody who doubts it, contact attack my office, I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal.
What's he
That
doing
means
there?
Congress doesn't vote.
In that fur
Well, I'm glad to
freaking
see
coat.
it. No, I tell you, I enjoy conversion. You know, it means if Congress doesn't keep the programs the way they are, they'd go away. Other Republicans say, I'm not saying it's a majority of you. I don't even think it's even a significant
Part is being cut away after that
but
iris.
it's being proposed by individuals.
The look on his face,
I'm
though.
politely not naming them,
He
but
was
it's being
just
proposed by
He
someone.
was just like, what? What?
Look, folks, the idea is that we're not going to be moved into being
I'm getting
threatened
kinda
to default on
animated.
the debt if we don't respond.
With some of these reactions. It's just these facial reactions are just so. They're just so. They wound me up. I'm getting
As we
too
all
wound up.
apparently agree, Social Security and Medicare is off the books now, right? They're not to be started. All right. I'm ready. We got unanimity. Social Security and Medicare are a lifeline for millions of seniors. Americans have to pay into them from the very first paycheck they started. So tonight,
Good stuff.
let's all agree,
Like seeing you
and we
animated,
apparently
John.
are. Let's stand up for seniors.
Thank you, Mo. I honestly thought I was gonna come off kind of boring, but this is like it's a good part about this is I'm just getting
We will not
so
cut Social
wound up.
Security. We will not cut
funny.
Medicare.
This is like good therapy for me.
Those benefits belong to the American people. They earned it. And if
Try
anyone tries to
taking
cut
my
Social Security, which
benefits.
apparently no one's gonna do,
take it from my cold dead fingers.
And if anyone tries to cut Medicare, I'll stop them. I'll veto it. And look, I'm not going to allow them to be taken away. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. But apparently it's not going to be a problem. Next month, when I offer my fiscal plan, I ask my Republican friends to lay down their plan as well. I really mean it. Let's sit down together and discuss our mutual plans together.
Yeah, but every time you sit down and discuss,
Let's do that.
everything breaks down. It's the same
I
bull
can tell you.
stuff. BS.
The plan I'm going to show you is going to cut the deficit by
For
another
the
$2
next,
trillion.
even after the next
And it won't cut
election.
a single bit of Medicare or Social Security. In fact, we're going to extend the Medicare Trust Fund at least 2 decades, because that's going to be the next argument. How do we keep it solvent, right? Well, we'll not raise tax on anyone making under 400 grand, but we'll pay for it the way we talked about tonight, by making sure that the wealthy and big corporations pay their fair share. Look. Here's the deal. They aren't just taking advantage of the tax code. They're taking advantage of you, the American consumer. Here's my message to all of you out there. I have your back.
Oh,
We're already
of course you
preventing
do.
Americans from receiving surprise medical bills,
course you
stopping $1 billion surprise bills per month so far. We're protecting seniors' life savings by cracking down on nursing homes that commit fraud, endanger patient safety, prescribe drugs that are not needed. Millions of Americans can now save thousands of dollars because they can finally get a hearing aid over the counter without a prescription. Look,
That's why we need.
capitalism without competition is not
Capitalism
it's extortion.
Capitalism is
It's
destroying this
exploitation.
country.
Last year, I cracked down with the help of many of you on foreign shipping companies that were making you pay higher prices for every good coming into the country.
Stop telling us some
I signed
positive
a
thing about
bipartisan bill to cut
so-called
shipping costs
positive thing
by
about
90%,
capitalism when it's actually
helping
the
American
opposite.
farmers, businessmen, and consumers. Let's finish the job. Pass the bipartisan legislation to strengthen antitrust enforcement and prevent big online platforms giving their own
That's what
products
Kamala
an
said.
unfair
I was
advantage.
gonna get that up there. We did it, Joe, as he said after the election.
My administration is also taking on junk fees, those hidden surcharges too many companies use to make you pay more. For example, we're making airlines show you the full ticket price up front, refund your money if your flight is canceled or delayed. We've reduced exorbitant bank overdrafts by saving consumers more than $1 billion a year. We're cutting credit card late fees by
Monopolist
75%
markets
from $30
are the end
to
game of
$8.
capital. Or the end game
Look,
of capitalism. Let's stop pretending it's not. Right.
Junk
Right.
fees may not matter to the very wealthy, but they matter to most other folks in homes like the one I grew up in, like many of you did. They add up to hundreds of dollars a month. They make it harder for you to pay your bills or afford that family trip. I know how unfair it feels when a company overcharges you and gets away with it. Not anymore. We've written a bill to stop it all. It's called the Junk Fee Prevention Act. We're going to ban surprise resort fees that hotels charge on your bill. Those fees can cost you up to $90 a night at hotels that aren't even resorts. The idea that cable, internet, and cell phone companies can charge you $200 or more if you decide to switch to another provider. Give me a break. We can stop service fees on tickets to concerts and sporting events and make companies disclose all the fees up front. And we'll prohibit airlines from charging $50 round trip for family just to be able to sit together. Baggage fees are bad enough. Airlines can't treat your child like a piece of baggage. Americans are tired of being. We're tired of being played for suckers. So pass the Junk Fee Prevention Act so companies stop ripping us off. For too long, workers have been getting stiffed, but not anymore. We're beginning to restore the dignity of work. For example, I should have known this, but I didn't until 2 years ago. 30 million workers have to sign non-compete agreements with the jobs they take. 30 million. So a cashier at a burger place can't walk across town and take the same job at another burger place and make a few bucks more. It just changed. But they just changed it because we exposed it. That was part of the deal, guys. Look it up.
What about unions?
But not anymore.
Relating to
We're
workers.
banning those agreements so companies have to compete for workers and pay them what they're worth.
And maybe let them unionize. How about letting the workers of those fast food places
And I must tell you,
unionize?
this is bound to get a response from my friends.
I just hope
on my left
AOC
with
is
the
more
right.
critical of this.
I'm so sick and tired of companies breaking the law by
Fingers
preventing
crossed.
workers from
That's-
organizing. Pass the PRO Act, because business have a right. Workers have a right to form a union.
Yes, exactly.
And let's guarantee all workers have a living wage.
Yes, exactly.
Let's make
Maybe
sure
maybe
working
raise
parents
the
can
minimum
afford to raise a
wage.
family with sick days.
Maybe allow
Paid
them to
family
union.
medical leave. Affordable
It's bad enough
childcare.
we don't. It's bad enough that we don't have a lot of people, a lot of
That's gonna
workers
enable
working at fast
millions of
food
more
places
people to
like
go and
Burger
stay at
King,
work,
like
and let's restore
Starbucks, who are
the
actually
full
trying to
child
unionize.
tax
They've been
credit,
trying to unionize.
which gave tens of millions of parents some breathing room and cut child poverty in half to the lowest level in history. And by the way, when we do all these things, we increase productivity, we increase economic growth. So let's finish the job and get more families access to affordable, quality housing. Let's get seniors who want to stay in their homes the care they need to do so. Let's give more breathing room to millions of family caregivers looking after their loved ones. Pass my plan so we get seniors and people with disabilities the home care and services they need. And support the workers who are doing God's work. These plans are fully paid for and we can afford to do them. Restoring the dignity of work means
Would love
making
to see the
education an
PRO
affordable
Act.
ticket to the middle
Amazon and
class.
Starbucks still haven't recognized it.
You know, when we made public education,
Yeah,
12
we had
years
it.
of it universal.
We had a
in the last
Starbucks
century.
here in Kansas City
We made
closed,
the best educated,
and
best
I think
paid.
with
We
because of
became
a
the best
union bus.
educated, best paid nation in the world.
But yeah, the PRO Act.
rest of the
I'd
world's
have to
caught
do a
up.
little bit more research on
caught
it,
up.
emo.
Jill,
But
my wife, who teaches
yeah,
full time,
if it works
as an expression.
and it
I
helps
get it right,
unions,
kid.
it helps workers.
Any nation that
with
out
their
educates
unions
us is
and
gonna
getting them
outcompete us.
the minimum wage that
Any
they
nation
need
out educates
raised,
can outcompete us.
amongst other things.
Folks, we all
then
know
then I would
12 years of
be for it.
education is not enough
But
to
I
win
have
the
to see it
economic
first.
competition of the 21st century.
And the reason is
You wanna have
is
the
because
best
anything
educated
under this
workforce?
president,
Let's finish
um,
the job.
is not as
providing
progressive
access to preschool
as I think it would be, as I know it would
4
be.
years old. Studies show that children
But yes,
who go to preschool
I
are
mean,
nearly 50%
you have every
more
right,
likely to finish high school and go
emo
on
to
to
be
earn
livid.
a 2 or 4 year degree, no matter their
I'm right
background
there
where they
with
came
you.
from. Let's give public school teachers a raise.
Yes, yes. My sister's a teacher. This would be for her.
We're making progress
You better be.
by reducing student debt, increasing Pell Grants.
How about
for
maybe
working and
canceling debt
middle-class
altogether?
families. Let's finish the job and connect students to
Cancel the
career opportunities
student
starting in high
freaking
school.
debt.
Provide access to 2 years of community college. The
Make
best
it-
career
make
training in
college
America, in addition to being
free.
a pathway to a 4-year degree. Let's offer every American a path to a good career.
Cancel
whether they
the
go to
student
college
debt.
or not. And folks, in the midst
It's
of the
not
COVID
that
crisis,
hard.
when schools were closed and we were shutting down everything, let's recognize how far we came in the fight against the pandemic itself.
The pandemic isn't over.
While the virus is not gone,
Yeah.
thanks to the resilience of the American people and the ingenuity of medicine, we've broken the COVID grip on us. COVID deaths are down by 90%. We've saved millions of lives and opened up our country. We opened our country back up, and soon we'll end the public health emergency. But that's called a public health emergency. But we'll remember the toll and pain that's never going to go away. More than 1 million Americans lost their lives to COVID. 1 million. Families grieving, children orphaned, empty chairs at the dining room table constantly reminding you that she used to sit there. Remembering them, we remain vigilant. We still need to monitor dozens of variants and support new vaccines and treatments. So Congress needs to fund these efforts and keep America safe. And as we emerge from this crisis stronger, we're also got to double down on prosecuting criminals who stole relief money meant to keep workers and small businesses afloat.
Well, gotta go. Had fun watching with you. Yeah, okay. See you
Before I
later,
came to
Emo.
office,
Thanks for
you
stopping
remember,
by. Have a great night
in that
yourself.
campaign, the big issue was about inspector generals who would protect taxpayers' dollars who were sidelined. They were fired. Many people said we don't need them. And fraud became rampant. Last year, I told you the watchdogs are back. Since then, we've recovered billions of taxpayers' dollars. Now let's triple the anti-fraud strike force going after these criminals, double the statute of limitations on these crimes, and crack down on identity fraud by criminal syndicates stealing billions of dollars from the American people. And the data shows that for every dollar we put into fighting fraud, the taxpayers get back at least 10 times as much. It matters. It matters. Look, COVID left its scars, like the spike in violent crime in 2020, the first year of the pandemic. We have an obligation to make sure all people are safe. Public safety depends on public trust, as all of us know. But too often that trust is violated. Joining us tonight are the parents of Tyree Nichols. Welcome. We had to bury Tyree last week. As many of you personally know, there's no words to describe the heartache or grief of losing a child. But imagine if you lost that child at the hands of the law. Imagine having to worry whether your son or daughter came home from walking down the street, or playing in the park, or just driving a car. Most of us in here have never had to have the talk that brown and black parents have had to have with their children. Bo, Hunter, Ashley, my children, I never had to have the talk with them. I never had to tell them if a police officer pulls you over, turn your interior lights on right away. Don't reach for your license. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Imagine having to worry like that every single time your kid got in a car. Here's what Tyree's mother shared with me when I spoke to her. When I asked her how she finds the courage to carry on and speak out. The faith of God, she said her son was, quote, a beautiful soul, and something good will come of this. Imagine how much courage and carry that takes. It's up to us, to all of us. We all want the same thing. Neighborhoods free of violence. Law enforcement who earns the community's trust. Just as every cop, when they pin on that badge in the morning, has a right to be able to go home at night, so does everybody else out there. Our children have a right to come home safely.
Need to be held accountable.
Equal protection.
Law enforcement needs to be held accountable.
We have with each other in America.
Law enforcement needs to be held accountable.
We know police officers put their lives on the line every single night and day. And we know we ask them in many cases to do too much, to be counselors, social workers, psychologists, responding to drug overdoses, mental health crises, and so much more. In one sense, we ask much too much of them. I know most cops and their families are good, decent, honorable people, the vast majority.
Yeah, but they need to stop overusing their badge. They're using that badge of honor.
And they risk their lives every time they put that shield on.
Not enough.
What happened to Tyree in Memphis happens too often. We have to do better. Give law enforcement the real training they need.
Because they're just taking...
Hold them to higher standards. Help them succeed in keeping us safe. We also need more first responders and professionals to address the growing mental health, substance abuse challenges. More resources to reduce violent crime and gun crime. More community intervention programs. More investment in housing, education, and job training. All this can help prevent violence in the first place. And when police officers or police departments violate the public trust, they must be held accountable.
They should be. But are you going to hold them accountable, Joe?
With the support
of
the families of victims.
Just saying. Are you going to hold the police accountable for their corrupt ways?
I signed an executive order for all federal officers, banning chokeholds, restricting no-knock warrants, and other key elements of the George Floyd Act. Let's commit ourselves to make the words of Tyler's mom true. Something good must come from this. Something good. And all of us.
Another throat clear.
All of us.
Looks like someone needs a cough drop. Someone needs a Halls.
Folks, it's difficult, but it's simple. All of us in this chamber, we need to rise to this moment. We can't turn away. Let's do what we know in our hearts that we need to do. Let's come together to finish the job on police reform. Do something. Do something. That was the plea of parents who lost their children in Uvalde. I met with every one of them. Do something about gun violence. Thank God. Thank God we did. Passing the most sweeping gun safety law in 3 decades.
Well, let's see it actually work.
That includes things like that the majority of responsible gun owners already support. Enhanced background checks for 18 to 21 years old. Red flag laws, keeping guns out of the hands of people who are a danger to themselves and others. But we know our work is not done.
It's never going
Join
to
us
be
tonight
done.
is Brandon Say, a 26-year-old hero. Brandon put his college dreams on hold to be at his mom's side. His mom's side when she was dying from cancer. And Brandon now works at the dance studio started by his grandparents. And 2 weeks ago, during the Lunar New Year celebrations, he heard the studio door close, and he saw a man standing there pointing a semi-automatic pistol at him. He thought he was going to die, but he thought about the people inside. And in that instant, he found the courage to act and wrestled a semi-automatic pistol away from the gunman who had already killed 11 people in another dance studio. 11. He saved lives. It's time we do the same. Ban assault weapons now. Ban them now. Once and for all.
Like this, Bober.
I led the fight to do that in 1994.
Of course we do.
In 10 years, that ban was law and mass shootings went down. After we let it expire, Republican administration, mass shootings tripled. Let's finish up and ban these assault weapons. And let's also come together on immigration. Make it a bipartisan issue once again. We now have a record number of personnel working to secure the border, arresting 8,000 human smugglers, seizing over 23,000 pounds of fentanyl in just the last several months. We've launched a new border plan last month. Unlawful migration from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela has come down 97% as a consequence of that. But American border problems won't be fixed until Congress acts. If we don't pass my comprehensive immigration reform, at least pass my plan to provide the equipment and officers to secure the border.
Let's get rid of that god-awful wall. Look at all of them. Look at all of them. Look at Ted. Ted's like...
For dreamers, those on temporary status, farm workers, essential workers. Here in the people's house,
Ted's just,
it's our duty to protect all the people's rights and freedoms. Congress must restore the right and the...
You Trumpian...
Congress must restore the right that was taken away in Roe v. Wade and protect Roe v. Wade. Give every woman a consular right. The Vice President and I are doing everything to protect access to reproductive health care and safeguard patient safety. But already more than a dozen states are enforcing extreme abortion bans. Make no mistake about it. If Congress passes a national ban, I will veto it. But let's also pass the Bipartisan Equality Act to ensure LGBTQ Americans, especially transgender young people, can live with safety and dignity.
Yes.
Our strength.
It's about that yellow dress.
An example of our power, but the power of our example. Let's remember the world's watching. I spoke from this chamber 1 year ago, just days after Vladimir Putin unleashed his brutal attack against Ukraine. A murderous assault, evoking images of death and destruction Europe suffered in World War II. Putin's invasion has been a test for the ages, a test for America, a test for the world. Would we stand for the most basic of principles? Would we stand for sovereignty? Would we stand for the right of people to live free of tyranny? Would we stand for the defense of democracy? For such defense matters to us because it keeps peace and prevents open season on would-be aggressors and threatens our prosperity. 1 year later, we know the answer. Yes, we would, and we did. We did. And together,
if they're
we
talking
did what
about
America always
Ukraine,
does at our best. We led. We united
look
NATO.
at all the people,
We built a global coalition.
the terrible
We stood against
atrocities that
Putin's
are going on in
aggression.
that country right now
We
because
stood
of
with the
that.
Ukrainian people. Tonight, we're once again joined by Ukrainian's ambassador to the United States. She represents not just her nation, but the courage of her people. Ambassador, is our ambassador is here. United, we're in united
Can't
our
even
support
say
of
her
your
name?
country. Will you stand so we can all take a look at you? Thank you. Because we're going to stand with you as long as it takes. Our nation is working for more freedom, more dignity, more peace, not just in Europe, but everywhere. Before I came to office, the story was about how the People's Republic of China was increasing its power and America was failing in the world. Not anymore. We made clear, and I made clear in my personal conversations, which have been many, with President Xi, that we seek competition, not conflict. But I will make no apologies that we're investing to make America stronger, investing in American innovation and industries that will define the future that China intends to be dominating, investing in our alliances and working with our allies to protect advanced technologies so they will not be used against us, modernizing our military to safeguard stability and deter aggression. Today, we're in the strongest position in decades to compete with China or anyone else in the world. Anyone else in the world. And I'm committed. I'm committed to work with China where we can advance American interests and benefit the world. But make no mistake about it. As we made clear last week, if China threatens our sovereignty, we will act to protect our country, and we did. Look, let's be clear. Winning the competition should unite all of us. We face serious challenges across the world. But in the past 2 years, democracies have become stronger, not weaker. Autocracy has grown weaker, not stronger. Name me a world leader who changed places with Xi Jinping. Name me one.
Oh, now he's getting all brutal.
Now
he's
starting to get all challenges, from climate to global health, to food insecurity, to terrorism, to territorial aggression. Allies are stepping up, spending more, and doing more. Look, the bridges we're forming between partners in the Pacific and those in the Atlantic, and those who bet against America are learning how wrong they are. It's never, ever been a good bet to bet against America. Well, when I came to office, most assured that bipartisanship assumed was impossible. Never believed it. That's why you're law making it easy for. We passed.
That's why.
Gun safety law, making it
Come
specialist
on.
in mental health. We launched the ARPA-H drive for
they
breakthrough in
know.
the fights against cancer, Alzheimer's, and diabetes, and so much more. We passed the Heath Robinson Pact Act, named after the Iraq War veteran whose story about exposed to toxic burn kits I shared here last year. I understand something about those burn pits, but there's so much more to do. We can do it together. Joining us tonight is a father named Doug from Newton, New Hampshire. He wrote Jill, my wife, a letter, and me as well, about a contagious laugh, his sister's best friend, her sister's best friend. He shared the story all too familiar to millions of Americans and many of you in the audience. Courtney discovered pills in high school. It spiraled into addiction and eventually death from a fentanyl overdose. She was just 20 years old. Describing the last 8 years without her, Doug said, "There's no worse pain." Yet their family has turned pain to purpose, working to end stigma and change laws. to start a journey toward America. Doug, we're with you. Fentanyl is killing more than 70,000 Americans a year. You got it.
All your guys' faults.
So
But you
let's
pin and blame on each other.
launch a major surge in the sale and trafficking with more drug detection machines, inspection cargo, stops of powder at the border. Working with couriers like FedEx.
Enema in that
Special
yellow dress.
packages
Ah.
for drugs.
What made her want to wear
Crack
that?
down on fentanyl trafficking. Second, let's do more on mental health, especially for our children. When people are struggling with bullying, violence, trauma, we give them greater access to mental health care at their schools. We must finally hold social media companies accountable for experimenting or running children for profit. It's time to pass bipartisan legislation to stop big tech from collecting personal data on our kids and teenagers online. Ban targeted advertising to children and impose stricter limits on the personal data that companies collect on all of us. Third, let's do more to keep this nation's one truly sacred obligation to equip those we send into harm's way and care for them and their families when they come home. Job training, job placement for veterans and their spouses as they come to return to civilian life. Helping veterans afford the rent, because no one should be homeless in America, especially someone who served the country.
I agree. Help the homeless, especially the homeless veteran.
Dennis McDonough is here of the VA. We had a first real discussion when I asked him to take the job. I'm glad he did. We were losing up to 25 veterans a day on suicide. Now we're losing 17 a day to the silent scourge of suicide. 17 veterans a day are committing suicide. More than all the people being killed in the wars. Folks,
You get trademark, folks.
including expanding mental health screening, programs that recruits veterans to help other veterans understand what they're going through, get them the help they need. We got to do more. And fourth, last year, Jill and I reignited the cancer moonshot that I was able to start with President Obama asked me to lead our administration on this issue. Our goal is to cut the cancer death rates at least by 50% in the next 25 years. Turn more cancers from death sentences to treatable diseases. Provide more support for patients and their families. It's personal to so many of us in this audience. Joining us are Morris and Candice, an Irishman and the daughter of immigrants from Panama. They met and fell in love in New York City and got married in the same chapel Jill and I got married in New York City. Kindred spirits. He wrote us a letter about his little daughter, Ava, and I saw her just before I came over. She was just a year old when she was diagnosed with rare kidney disease, cancer. After 26 blood transfusions, 11 rounds of radiation, 8 rounds of chemo, 1 kidney removed, giving a 5% survival rate. He wrote how in the darkest moments he thought, if she goes, I can't stay. Many of you have been through that as well. Jill and I understand that like so many of you. And he read Jill's book describing our family's cancer journey and how we tried to steal moments of joy where we could with Bo. For them, that glimmer of joy was a half smile of their baby girl. It meant everything to them. They never gave up hope. Little Ava never gave up hope. She turns 4 next month. They just found out Ava's beating the odds, is on her way to being cured of cancer. And she's watching from the White House tonight if she's not asleep already. For the lives we can save. For the lives we can save and the lives we've lost, Let this be a truly American moment that rallies the country and the world together and proves that we can still do big things. 20 years ago, under the leadership of President Bush and countless advocates and champions, he undertook a bipartisan effort through PEPFAR to transform the global fight against HIV/AIDS. It's been a huge success.
He's willing to
defend
large.
He moved.
The criminal acts
I believe we can do the same thing with cancer.
and the illegal act of the Bush administration, my generation,
Cancer as we know it.
terrible presidency.
Cure some cancers once and for all. Folks,
Does he have long
there's
hair?
one reason why we've been able to do all of these things.
He grew out his
Our
hair.
democracy itself.
Bono.
It's the most fundamental thing of all.
Weird.
With democracy, everything's possible. Without it, nothing is. The last few years, our democracy has been threatened and attacked, put at risk, put to the test in this very room on January the 6th. And then just a few months ago, an unhinged big lie assailed and unleashed a political violence, the home of the then Speaker of the House of Representatives, using the very same language the insurrectionists used as they stalked these halls and chanted on January 6th. Here tonight in this chamber is a man who bears the scars of that brutal attack, but is as tough and as strong, as resilient as they get. My friend Paul Pelosi. Paul, stand up.
Everybody's your friend, Gary. Everybody's your friend. What I want to know is, why isn't he sitting next to his wife? Why aren't
Such a
Paul and
heinous
Nancy
act
sitting
should have
together?
never happened. We must all speak out. There's no place for political violence in America. We have to protect the right to vote, not suppress that fundamental right. Honor the results of our elections, not subvert the will of the people. We have to uphold the rule of law and restore trust in our institutions of democracy. And we must give hate and extremism in any form no safe harbor. Democracy must not be a partisan issue.
Whoever's
It's an
holding
American
that
issue.
cane or that
Every
walking
generation
stick,
of Americans has faced a moment where they have been called to protect our democracy, defend it, stand up for it. And this is our moment. My fellow Americans, we meet tonight at an inflection point, one of those moments that only a few generations ever face, where the direction we now take is going to decide the course of this nation for decades to come. We're not bystanders of history. We're not powerless before the forces that confront us. It's within our power of we, the people. We're facing the test of our time. We have to be the nation we've always been at our best, optimistic, hopeful, forward-looking. A nation that embraces light over dark, hope over fear, unity over division, stability over chaos. We have to see each other not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. We're good people. The
I
only
wish that were
nation
only
in the
partly
world
true.
built on an idea. The only one. Other nations are defined by geography, ethnicity. But we're the only nation based on an idea that all of us, every one of us, is created equal in the image of God. A nation that stands as a beacon of the world. A nation in a new age of possibilities. So I've come to fulfill my constitutional obligation to report in the State of the Union. And here's my report. Because the soul of this nation is strong, because the backbone of this nation is strong, because the people of this nation are strong, the State of the Union is strong.
I doubt that. And I'm speaking for someone on the left that's a pessimistic. Look at all the buttons. Look at all the crayon
I'm not new to this
buttons.
place.
Yeah.
I stand here tonight having served as long as about any one of you have ever served here.
40 years to be exact.
But I've never been more optimistic about our future. about the future of America. We just have to remember who we are. We're the United States of America, and there's nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you.
Wow, that was. I mean, I am like totally mixed. I mean, that was really. Just a more moderate neoliberal centrism in politics going on, folks. That's all it is. It was cleaner. I spent almost an hour watching and reacting to this, and I've gotten.
Hey, Big John.
Good job, Mr. President.
Having spent literally almost an hour reacting to this stream, or to the State of the Union, it being the first political event of any kind that I've done as a leftist Twitch and YouTube streamer person. Man, this was really like a mixed bag for me. Maybe not even a mixed bag, just the same old, same old. I mean, come on. There's nothing really exciting. There's nothing really exciting going on. I'll put the music back on for a bit. Man, that was really something. I mean, at this point, I would give that speech probably a 3 out of 10. Maybe 3.5. Or maybe 3.5 to 4 out of 10, but not. That's not good. That's not really a good sign. I mean, that if that's like my fair score, I would have to say that this speech was a pretty so 3.5 out of 10 for me. Because it's just more moderate neoliberalism he's throwing at us. Nothing really exciting. Nothing really that would like hold you on the edge of your seat. Sure, there were some sentimental moments, but as far as like the unions and the healthcare system and the college, I mean, he's trying to push himself as a progressive. And it's not really working, to be honest. He's pulling that progressive moment, and it's just not working for him. It's not working for him. It's not going to work for his administration. I mean, it's just the same old, same old. I'm just going to be blunt. Speaking of blunt, I wish I could go smoke one right now. If I could, if I wanted to, if I was able to. Whew, that was really something. That speech, I will say, was a mixed freaking bag. And I don't expect things to get any better. It was good to see Bernie, though, wearing the N95 mask. That'd be a good camera, like a good picture moment, social media picture moment. Manchin's response still had me laughing, though. My apologies for getting totally animated. My apologies for getting totally animated, but the I'm gonna pause it. Actually, I'm gonna pause this. Maybe if not pause it, mute it. My apologies for getting totally animated, folks. Speaking of folks, stealing the line. It was. I mean, for me, that was just so hilarious. That was way too hilarious. Mansion getting like just the shock, the look of shock, the stare of shock, as I call it. He's just like, you know. Oh boy, that was something. That was really something. So I assume there's going to be a Republican response. I'm still debating whether or not to even show that or even stream that. But be that as it may, I actually am going to go get a drink refill. I might stick around for just a little bit longer. He's probably still going to just do a little bit of handshaking, you know. So with that, I will be right back. And I'm going to go get something. I'm going to get some more. I'll be back. Sit tight. You just got to do the rounds. I'm back. Try to turn my volume this down. I'm back. I got my water. Well, I guess since there's only one person here left watching besides myself, I guess I should just say that I got an interview. Well, I'll save that for later. I'll save that for the end. I don't want to say anything right now. Still making the rounds. Still doing the whole like handshake, hug kind of thing that he must do. He must do. Still doing the whole handshake. Still doing everything. Again, not too much excitement for me. I have to be honest. I went into this knowing that he wasn't going to really fulfill. He wasn't going to like lift anybody off their seats. At least anybody progressive. It was nice to see Fetterman there, though. It was nice to see John Fetterman there. I mean, he's been through a hell of a lot in the last few months, especially after that stroke. He's bouncing back for sure. I actually originally thought I was going to do this on OBS, but I didn't want to take the chance. I decided to do it on here instead. Well, I'll stay on for a little bit. It's after 9:30 my time, CST. So I'll stay on for a little bit, and then I kind of already given my response. I guess I should probably see the Republican response, but I don't know. I could change my mind like in an instant. But dude, this was so cringe. I mean, my critique was so over the water for this. I mean, I did not. Again, I had no expectations, and the two of them, the speaker and the VP, are still standing there. When is it our turn to leave? He's just got to do the whole conversation. The whole conversation thing. That's what they got to do. That's what they got to do. That's just how it is. Ugh. But McConnell's face. I mean, Manchin, McConnell, and Kirsten Sinema, man, were the standouts for this. And Boebert was like in the very back, kind of shaking her head. But like, Jesus, that freaking yellow dress that Boebert was, or Kristen Sinema was wearing, and sitting next to Romney. Are you kidding me? Sitting next to Mitt Romney. I would be cut dead sitting next to him. Although I shouldn't say it like that. I wouldn't want to sit next to Romney for any reason whatsoever. That's what I should say. Yeah, it was yeah, well, I'm not even gonna do the response. Once we hit the two hour mark, I'm gonna call it a night and leave that for the more professional ones. There's a few other professional people that are streaming that are doing this would stay for the whole thing, but I'm gonna wait for the 2 hour mark to hit, and then I'll call it a night. So, with that, I'm actually gonna pause this because we don't need this anymore. I'm going to stop my screen share. So yeah, I mean, at best, not a very good speech. That's my honest opinion. Just a bunch of moderate neoliberalism that's been thrown down. Or not even the. I will say this, not even the. Put my mic up. Not even the slightest hint of progressive agenda in the House or in the state in this speech, really. So not really much optimism for me. A lot more pessimism. Pessimism. I'm more pessimistic, is what I'm trying to say. And we hit the 2 hour mark. And I don't know. I mean, what he's going to be saying, what he said tonight, he's going to be saying 2 years from now when there's another election. And after that election, when there's another election, granted, if he's still in office, he's going to be saying the next thing. He's going to be saying the same exact thing for another 2 years. And then that'll build up whatever party's nominee gets it in, I guess it would be 2028. Yeah, 2028. Which feels like a long ways away, believe it or not. Let's see. Do we have any more chat people in here? Thanks to Emo Dragon, who stayed and kept me company. Thanks to Blair. How Blair you? He did say this at the beginning. I wish it was Bernie giving a speech tonight. Yeah, I wish so too, Blair. Like I said in the beginning, I wish it was Bernie every single day. Yeah, I wish it was him every single day. I'm not even gonna lie. I'll be honest. So, are they doing the Republican? No, they're not doing the response. You know what? I'm not even gonna do the Republican response. It's bad enough I have to listen to this. I don't want to hear the opposition. because the opposition is going to be worse. The speech was bad. The opposition's worse. And, you know, I hope I at least did some good effort being my first politically oriented stream. Politically oriented leftist Twitch and YouTube stream. Speaking of Twitch, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something I should have done a long time ago and raid somebody. I think I need to open up the Twitch itself. So if you hear any ambient noise or anything, I apologize. Let's see. I feel like I'm gonna have to like go on how to raid on Twitch in order to figure out how to raid someone. Unless someone wants to drop something in chat who's still here. Dashboard. Okay, I found the dashboard. I have 36 followers. And I am 10 followers away from, or 12 followers away from 50. Not that I should say anything. Not that that's a big deal or anything. Okay. Got it. Let's see. Raid channel. Who should we raid? Who's a good person to raid on the Twitch side of things? Because I've never done this before. I wonder. Let's see. I want somebody I probably know. Oh. Anybody? Because I just don't want to raid just any old person. I want to know who the person is. And let's see. Because I want to see on the stream side of things, I want to on the Twitch side of things, I want to do like a raid of sorts. And I wish I had some people in chat to do that, to give me suggestions. You know what? I'm just gonna do this. I'll raid left flank vets. Let's see, where is the, or actually, you know what? Let's see if, what's their face? Maybe this is Revolution. Maybe Jason. No, I don't want to do that. I was just there. Or actually, wait a minute. Wait a second. Yeah, left, we'll do Left Reckoning. I'll raid Left Reckoning, and if it'll let me, because best chance I might have to take that raid back. Let's see. I know I was here. I know I was just at it a moment ago. Here it is. Oh, I'm so new to this side of the Twitch part. Okay. So I'm going to raid Left Reckoning, and I will be back on Friday night at 6 p.m. CST for my interview with Ben Burgess from Give Them an Argument. And of course, as always, you could, let's see, follow me on social media. Let me see where that graphic is. Where that darn graphic. Where is it? I know where it is. the caption. Yeah, follow me on social media. Like and subscribe to Twitch and the YouTube. Make the algorithm better. And of course, Patreon, which I've still am working on, but hopefully will get better as time goes on. And with that, I will see you Friday at 6 p.m. CST. And I hope to see you all there. Peace. It was a good show. It was a real good show. And I appreciate Blair. I appreciate Emo. And I will see you on Friday.